Your greatest power begins where your impulses end. Most men are controlled by desire. They wake up chasing pleasure, scrolling endlessly, feeding their minds with things that weaken their focus. Lust becomes their master, and without realizing it, they lose control over their thoughts, their energy, and their direction. But the moment you stop giving in, everything changes. When you discipline your mind and refuse to be controlled by lust, you take back your power. Your attention becomes sharper. Your decisions become clearer. You stop reacting, and you start choosing. Lust is not just about attraction. It is about distraction. It pulls you away from your purpose, drains your energy, and keeps you stuck in cycles of instant gratification. Stoicism teaches us one thing clearly: if you cannot control yourself, you will always be controlled by something else. When you rise above it, you begin to see the world differently. You stop chasing validation. You stop seeking approval. And strangely, that's when respect starts coming to you naturally. Your presence becomes stronger. Your words carry weight. People notice the difference, not because you are trying to impress them, but because you are no longer desperate for their attention. This is the paradox. When you stop chasing pleasure, you attract power. When you detach from constant desire, you gain control over your life. Self-mastery is rare. And because it is rare, it is valuable. Every time you resist the urge, every time you choose discipline over impulse, you are building a version of yourself that most people will never become. A man who controls his desires cannot be manipulated. He cannot be distracted. He cannot be easily broken. That is the man the world respects. If you want to become that man, start by mastering your mind. Protect your focus. Guard your energy. Choose long-term strength over short-term pleasure. And understand this clearly: this is not about suppressing who you are. It is about directing your energy with intention. Desire itself is natural. But uncontrolled desire is where weakness begins. When you let it run freely, it scatters your focus, weakens your discipline, and keeps you dependent on external stimulation. A stoic man does not run from desire. He masters it. He chooses when to engage and when to walk away. He is not easily tempted, not easily distracted, and not easily controlled. Think about how much time and energy is wasted chasing momentary pleasure. Hours lost. Focus broken. Goals delayed. And for what? A brief feeling that disappears almost instantly. Now imagine redirecting that same energy into your purpose. Into your growth. Into building something meaningful. That is where transformation happens. When your mind is no longer clouded by constant urges, your vision becomes clear. You begin to think long-term. You act with purpose. You move with discipline. This is why many never reach their full potential. Not because they lack talent, but because they lack control. Control over attention. Control over habits. Control over desire. The world does not surrender to the loudest man, or the most emotional one. It responds to the man who is steady, focused, and disciplined. Be that man. When others are distracted, you stay locked in. When others give in, you hold your ground. When others chase, you attract. And over time, this consistency builds something powerful: respect, confidence, and quiet dominance. You don't need to announce it. People will feel it. So train your mind daily. Remove what weakens you. Build what strengthens you. Because in the end, the man who conquers himself conquers everything that stands in front of him. And there is another level most people never reach. You begin to enjoy discipline. At first, it feels like sacrifice. It feels like you are denying yourself something. But over time, it turns into strength. You stop feeling deprived, and you start feeling in control. That control brings a different kind of satisfaction, one that doesn't fade. You no longer need constant stimulation to feel good. Your peace becomes internal. Your confidence becomes stable. Your mood is no longer controlled by what you see, who you talk to, or what you get. This is freedom. A man ruled by lust is always reacting. A man who has mastered it is always choosing. And that difference shows in everything. In how you speak. In how you walk. in how you handle pressure, in how you respond to temptation. You become calm where others are chaotic, focused where others are scattered, patient where others are impulsive. And patience is power. Because when you are patient, you think before you act. You move with intention. You build slowly, but you build something that lasts. Most people want quick pleasure. Few are willing to earn lasting power. Decide which one you want. Every day, you will be tested. Not by the world, but by your own habits. Your own urges. Your own discipline. Win those small battles consistently, and your life will change in ways you cannot imagine. Lose them consistently, and nothing changes. So make it simple. Control your eyes. Control your thoughts. Control your actions. That is the path. You don't need perfection. You need consistency. Stay disciplined. Stay focused. Stay in control. And once you reach this stage, something deeper happens. You stop needing constant motivation. You move whether you feel like it or not. You act whether the mood is right or not. Because discipline replaces emotion as your driving force. This is where real power is built. Feelings become unreliable. Some days you will feel strong, other days you won't. But a disciplined mind does not negotiate with feelings. It follows principles. You create rules for your life, and you live by them. Wake up with intention. Work with focus. Rest with control. No excess. No chaos. No wasted energy. And slowly, your identity begins to change. You no longer see yourself as someone who struggles with temptation. You see yourself as someone who is in command. That identity shapes your actions. And your actions shape your results. This is how transformation becomes permanent. Not through motivation. Not through temporary bursts of effort. But through consistent control over your inner world. Because the truth is simple. The outside world mirrors your internal state. If your mind is scattered, your life will feel chaotic. If your mind is disciplined, your life will feel aligned. So instead of trying to control everything around you, focus on mastering what is within you. Your thoughts. Your reactions. Your habits. That is enough. Once you have that, distractions lose their power over you. Temptations lose their grip. And you begin to move through life with clarity and purpose. This is what it means to rise above lust. Not by force, but by mastery. Not by denial, but by direction. Become the man who is guided by purpose, not pulled by impulse. And at this point, you start to notice something most people never understand. Silence becomes your advantage. You don't feel the need to explain yourself. You don't argue for validation. You don't try to prove your worth. Because you already know it. A distracted man seeks attention. A disciplined man commands respect without asking for it. You become more observant. You listen more. You speak less, but when you do, your words carry intention. This is quiet strength. And quiet strength is dangerous, because it cannot be manipulated. When you are no longer ruled by impulses, people lose the ability to control you through temptation, approval, or emotional games. You become steady. Unshaken by praise. Unmoved by rejection. Unaffected by noise. That level of control creates a presence that stands out anywhere you go. Not loud. Not flashy. But undeniable. And with that presence comes influence. People trust consistency. They respect discipline. They follow those who are grounded. So instead of chasing influence, you become someone worth following. All of this begins with a simple decision. To stop being a slave to every urge. To stop giving away your attention so easily. To stop trading long-term strength for short-term pleasure. It won't be easy. Some days will test you more than others. But every moment of resistance builds you. Every disciplined choice sharpens you. And over time, those small decisions compound into a life that is structured, powerful, and controlled. This is the path of self-mastery. Walk it daily. Protect your mind. Guard your energy. Respect your purpose. Because once you truly control yourself, Nothing outside of you can control you. And in the end, you realize something even more important. It was never just about lust. It was about control. Lust was only one of many impulses trying to pull you away from who you could become. Once you learn to master it, you begin to see every other distraction for what it is. Comfort, laziness, ego, validation. They all follow the same pattern. They promise ease, but they take your power. And now you see through it. You stop choosing what feels good in the moment, and you start choosing what builds you over time. That shift changes everything. Your standards rise. Your habits improve. Your circle becomes tighter. Your time becomes more valuable. You become intentional with how you live. And when a man becomes intentional, his life gains direction. No more drifting. No more reacting. No more wasting potential. Just clarity and movement towards something meaningful. This is where discipline turns into purpose. You wake up knowing what matters. You act without hesitation. You move forward without needing constant reassurance. Because your confidence is no longer based on outcomes, it is based on who you are. A man who keeps his word to himself. A man who follows through. A man who does what needs to be done, regardless of how he feels. That is rare. And rare men live different lives. So don't look for shortcuts. Don't look for easy paths. Build yourself the hard way, the honest way, the disciplined way. Because what you build through discipline cannot be taken from you. Stay focused. Stay grounded. Stay in control. And after all of this, one final truth remains. You become dangerous in the best way. Not to others, but to your old self. The version of you that used to give in easily. The version that lacked discipline. The version that traded focus for pleasure. That version fades. And in its place stands someone more controlled, more aware, more intentional. You stop recognizing your old habits. The things that once controlled you no longer have the same power. The urges still appear, but now they pass without control. That is mastery. Not the absence of temptation, but the ability to rise above it consistently. At this level, you don't rely on motivation, pressure, or fear. You rely on standards. Standards that you refuse to break. Principles that guide your actions. Boundaries that protect your focus. And because of this, your life becomes structured. You waste less time. You make better decisions. You move faster toward your goals. There is no confusion. No inner conflict. Just alignment between who you are and how you live. This is what most people are searching for, without realizing it. Clarity. Control. Peace. And all of it begins within. So don't underestimate the power of small decisions. What you do daily shapes everything. Every moment you choose discipline over impulse, you are reinforcing your identity. Every moment you stay focused, you are strengthening your mind. And over time, that consistency builds a life that feels different. Stronger. Calmer. Unshakable. This is not a phase. This is a lifestyle. A way of thinking. A way of acting. A way of becoming. So keep going. Stay sharp. Stay disciplined. Stay committed to your growth. Because the man who masters himself answers to no distraction, no temptation, and no weakness. And when you truly live this way, something becomes clear. You no longer chase a better life. You build it. Step by step. Choice by choice. Day by day. There is no rush. No desperation. No need to prove anything to anyone. Because you understand that real growth is quiet, and real power is built in consistency. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop measuring your worth by attention, approval, or temporary success. Your only focus becomes this. Am I better than I was yesterday? And if the answer is yes, even slightly, you are winning. This mindset removes pressure and replaces it with progress. You become patient with yourself, but never careless. You push forward, but you stay grounded. And that balance is rare. Because most people either burn out chasing everything at once, or they give up completely. You do neither. You stay steady. You keep showing up. You keep doing the work. You keep choosing discipline, even when no one is watching. Especially when no one is watching. Because that is where character is built. Not in public. Not for praise. But in private moments where your choices define you. This is how you earn real confidence. Not by talking. Not by pretending. But by proving to yourself, again and again, that you are in control. And once you have that, you don't need validation. You don't need approval. You don't need to be understood. You are focused. You are grounded. You are moving forward. So keep it simple. Protect your time. Respect your energy. Commit to your standards. And never go back to being ruled by impulse. Because you've seen the difference. And once you experience true control, nothing less will ever satisfy you. And eventually, you stop counting the days. You stop tracking streaks. You stop measuring how long you've resisted. You stop thinking about it as a challenge. Because it becomes who you are. Discipline is no longer something you try to do, it's something you live. At this stage, your focus shifts completely. You're no longer fighting urges every moment. You're building, creating, improving. Your energy has direction. And that direction produces results. You start accomplishing things that once felt difficult. You stay consistent where others fall off. You remain focused where others get distracted. Not because you're special, but because you're disciplined. And discipline compounds. A focused day becomes a focused week. A focused week becomes a productive month. A productive month becomes a transformed life. This is how quiet progress turns into undeniable results. People will eventually notice. They'll ask what changed. They'll wonder how you became so consistent, so calm, so in control. But you'll know the truth. It was the small decisions. The moments you chose not to give in. The moments you stayed focused. The moments you honored your standards. Nothing flashy. Nothing dramatic. Just discipline, repeated daily. So don't look for recognition. Don't wait for applause. Stay committed to the process. Because the results will speak for themselves. And when they do, you won't need to say much. Your life will say it for you. And one day, you'll look back and barely recognize the person you used to be. Not because everything became perfect, but because you became different. Stronger in your thinking. Sharper in your decisions. Calmer in your reactions. The same situations that once controlled you will no longer have power over you. Temptation will still exist, but it won't move you. Distractions will still be around, but they won't pull you in. Noise will still be loud, but you will remain quiet within. This is growth. Not loud. Not instant. But undeniable. You will start to value things you once ignored. Time over pleasure. Peace over excitement. Purpose over attention. And with that shift, your life becomes simpler, but more powerful. No unnecessary drama. No wasted energy. No constant inner conflict. Just clarity. You know what matters. You know what to avoid. You know who you are. And when a man knows who he is, he becomes difficult to shake. This is the foundation of everything you want to build. Success. Respect. Freedom. All of it starts with self-mastery. So keep choosing discipline, even when it feels repetitive. Keep showing up, even when it feels slow. Because what you're building is not just habits. You're building a life that is controlled, intentional, and aligned. And once you reach that level, there is no going back. And in the quiet moments, when no one is watching and nothing is demanding your attention, you'll feel it. A sense of control. No pressure to escape. No urge to distract yourself. No need to fill the silence. Just calm. That calm is earned. It comes from winning the internal battles repeatedly. It comes from choosing discipline when it would have been easier to give in. It comes from building trust with yourself. And that trust is everything. Because once you trust yourself, your confidence becomes unshakable. You stop second-guessing your decisions. You stop breaking promises to yourself. You stop doubting your ability to stay consistent. You become reliable, to yourself first. And that changes how you move in the world. You take action faster. You hesitate less. You follow through more. Because you know you won't betray your own standards. This is the hidden reward of self-mastery. Not just control over your actions, but belief in your own discipline. And when a man truly believes in himself, he becomes unstoppable in a quiet, controlled way. So protect that. Protect your routines. Protect your focus. Protect the standards you've built. Because it doesn't take much to lose it, but it takes everything to rebuild it. Stay aware. Stay disciplined. Stay intentional. And never forget, the strongest version of you is built in the moments where you choose control over comfort. And from here, life becomes less about resisting, and more about refining. You're no longer fighting every urge. You're shaping your environment. You're choosing what deserves your attention. You become selective. Selective with what you watch. Selective with who you listen to. Selective with where your time goes. Because you understand this, whatever you allow into your mind will eventually shape your actions. So you raise your standards. You remove what weakens you without hesitation. You keep what strengthens you without apology. And this creates a new level of clarity. No more confusion. No more mixed priorities. No more wasted effort. Everything you do has direction. And when your actions have direction, your results multiply. You stop living randomly, and start living intentionally. This is where your discipline turns into structure. Daily routines that support your growth. Habits that reinforce your focus. Decisions that align with your purpose. Nothing is left to chance. And over time, this structure builds momentum. You don't have to force yourself anymore. You don't rely on willpower every second. Your lifestyle carries you forward. That is real power, when your habits work for you, not against you. So keep refining. Remove distractions. Strengthen discipline. Simplify your life. Because the more focused you become, the more powerful your actions become. And the more powerful your actions, the more control you gain over your life. Stay disciplined. Stay intentional. Stay evolving. And as you keep evolving, your standards become non-negotiable. You don't bend for temporary pleasure. You don't lower yourself for quick validation. You don't trade your discipline for comfort. Because you've seen what that costs. So you become firm. Firm in your habits. Firm in your boundaries. Firm in your direction. Not rigid, but unshaken. You adapt when necessary, but you never compromise the core of who you are becoming. And that level of certainty creates something powerful. Respect. Not the kind that is given easily, but the kind that is earned through consistency. People begin to take you seriously because you take yourself seriously. You don't speak about discipline, you live it. You don't talk about focus, you show it. You don't chase results, you build them. And over time, your life reflects that. Opportunities begin to align. Your environment improves. Your mindset sharpens even further. Not by luck, but by design. Because when you are disciplined, you position yourself for better outcomes. You think clearer. You act smarter. You avoid unnecessary mistakes. This is how you create leverage in life. While others are distracted, you are building. While others are reacting, you are planning. While others are chasing, you are becoming. And that difference compounds. So don't break your standards for anything that weakens you. Stay aligned with your purpose. Stay committed to your growth. Stay disciplined in every area of your life. Because once your standards are solid, your life becomes stable. And from that stability, you can build anything. And as everything starts to align, you understand one final shift. You stop trying to control the world, and focus only on controlling yourself. Because that is where your real power has always been. You can't control people. You can't control outcomes. You can't control every situation. But you can control your response. Your discipline. Your focus. Your standards. And that is enough. Because when your inner world is stable, the outer world loses its ability to disturb you. You remain steady in chaos. You remain focused under pressure. You remain calm when things don't go your way. This is emotional control. Not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of reaction. And this is where many fail. They let emotions lead. They act out of impulse. They make decisions they later regret. But you don't. You pause. You observe. You choose. Every action becomes intentional. And intentional actions create predictable results. So even when life becomes uncertain, you remain certain in yourself. That is the foundation of real confidence. Not arrogance. Not noise. But quiet certainty. You know you can handle whatever comes, because you've already mastered what's within. So keep your focus inward. Refine your thoughts. Strengthen your discipline. Stay aligned with your values. Because once you are in control of yourself, nothing outside of you can truly shake you. And when you fully understand this, you stop seeking shortcuts. You accept the process. No more rushing results. No more looking for the easy way out. No more abandoning discipline when it becomes uncomfortable. You embrace the work. Because you realize, the process is what builds you. Every disciplined day strengthens your mind. Every controlled decision sharpens your character. Every moment of patience deepens your resilience. Nothing is wasted. Even the difficult days, especially the difficult days, are shaping you into someone stronger. So you stop complaining. You stop making excuses. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You execute. You show up when it's hard. You stay focused when it's boring. You remain disciplined when no one is watching. And that consistency separates you. Not instantly, but inevitably. Because most people quit when it gets uncomfortable. Most people fall back into old habits when tested. But you don't. You stay on the path. And over time, that persistence creates something powerful. Momentum. Progress becomes natural. Discipline becomes automatic. Growth becomes continuous. You don't need to force it anymore, you live it. So trust the process. Stay committed to your standards. Stay patient with your growth. Stay consistent with your actions. Because the man who refuses to quit on himself will eventually build a life that reflects his discipline. And after all this, you arrive at a place most people never reach. You are at peace with yourself. Not because life is perfect, but because you are in control. There is no constant inner battle. No overwhelming urges pulling you in different directions. No need to escape your own mind. Just clarity and calm. You wake up with purpose. You move with intention. You rest without guilt. Everything feels aligned. This is the reward of discipline that no one talks about. Peace. A quiet, stable, unshakable peace that comes from knowing you are living in alignment with your standards. You are no longer divided within yourself. Your thoughts, your actions, and your values all move in the same direction. And when a man reaches that level, he becomes complete. Not dependent on distractions. Not controlled by desires. Not shaken by external noise. Just grounded. So don't underestimate what you're building. This is bigger than avoiding lust. This is about becoming whole. A man who is disciplined, focused, and at peace within himself can face anything life brings. So protect that peace. Guard it with discipline. Strengthen it with consistency. Maintain it with awareness. Because once you have it, it becomes your greatest advantage. Stay committed. Stay grounded. Stay in control. And when you live with that kind of peace, you stop being easily shaken by life. Pressure doesn't break you. Temptation doesn't control you. Distractions don't pull you away. Because you've built something deeper than motivation, you've built stability. Your mind is no longer a battlefield. It becomes a place of order. And from that order, everything improves. Your decisions become sharper. Your reactions become calmer. Your focus becomes stronger. You don't waste energy fighting yourself anymore, so all that energy goes into building your life. This is where true progress accelerates. Not because you are doing more, but because you are doing less of what weakens you. Less distraction, less impulsiveness, less emotional chaos, and more clarity, more discipline, more intentional action. That shift creates momentum that feels effortless. You move forward without forcing everything. You stay consistent without burning out. You grow without losing yourself. And that balance is powerful. Because now, you are not just disciplined. You are stable. And stability is what allows long-term success. Anyone can be focused for a short time. Anyone can be motivated for a moment. But very few can stay grounded over time. Be one of the few. Stay steady when things are slow. Stay disciplined when things are tempting. Stay focused when things are noisy. Because consistency over time will always outperform intensity for a moment. So keep moving forward. One decision at a time. One disciplined action at a time. One focused day at a time. That is how powerful lives are built. And when you stay on this path long enough, you stop looking for external rewards. You don't need applause. You don't need recognition. You don't need anyone to validate your progress. Because the reward becomes internal. You feel it in your discipline. You see it in your consistency. You live it in your daily actions. That quiet satisfaction replaces the need for approval. And that is where independence is born. You are no longer driven by what others think. You are guided by your own standards. That makes your path clear. No confusion. No hesitation. No compromise. Just direction. You know what you need to do, and you do it. Every day. Even when it's repetitive. Even when it's slow. Even when no one notices. Because you understand something most people ignore. Greatness is built in repetition. The same habits. The same discipline. The same focus. Done consistently, over time. That's it. No secret. No shortcut. No magic. Just disciplined action repeated daily. So embrace the repetition. Don't run from it. Don't get bored of it. Master it. Because inside that repetition is your transformation. Stay committed. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. And never forget, the life you want is being built by what you do every single day. And when you truly accept that, you stop overcomplicating everything. You don't need endless strategies. You don't need constant new information. You don't need to keep starting over. You just need to execute what already works. Wake up with purpose. Do the work. Stay disciplined. Repeat. Simple, but not easy. And that's why most people fail. Not because it's complicated, but because it requires consistency. But you've already chosen a different path. You don't chase excitement, you build structure. You don't rely on motivation, you rely on discipline. You don't look for shortcuts, you commit to the process. And that commitment creates something powerful. Reliability. You become someone who can be counted on. Someone who shows up. Someone who follows through. Not just for others, but for yourself. And that self-reliability changes everything. You trust your actions. You respect your effort. You believe in your ability to stay consistent. That belief becomes your foundation. From it, you build stronger habits. From it, you create better results. From it, you develop a life that reflects your discipline. So keep it simple. Do what needs to be done. Avoid what weakens you. Stay aligned with your standards. Every single day. Because in the end, success is not about doing more. It's about doing the right things, consistently. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. Stay committed. And when you lock into that rhythm, you stop being distracted by what doesn't matter. Trends don't move you. Opinions don't shake you. Temptations don't control you. Because you know your direction. You've decided who you are, and you live in alignment with it. That alignment creates power. No inner conflict. No constant doubt. No wasted energy. Just focus. And with that focus, your life becomes efficient. You do what matters, and you do it well. You ignore what doesn't, without guilt. That is discipline at its highest level. Not forcing everything, but choosing wisely. And wise choices, repeated daily, build a life that stands strong over time. So you keep narrowing your focus. Less noise. Less distraction. Less unnecessary effort. More clarity. More intention. More results. This is how you move differently from the crowd. While others chase everything, you commit to what matters. While others get lost in options, you stay grounded in purpose. While others start and stop, you continue. And continuation is rare. Anyone can begin. Few can persist. Be the one who persists. Stay locked in when it's boring. Stay disciplined when it's tempting. Stay focused when it's difficult. Because the longer you hold your standards, the stronger they become. And eventually, they define you. Follow me for more Stoic wisdom that keeps you focused, consistent, and unstoppable.